The stars burned cold in the endless void. On the edge of the galaxy, a small human colony world spun quietly, its people unaware of the storm coming. For years, humanity had spread across the stars, building homes on distant planets. They were not warriors, not yet. They were farmers, builders, dreamers. But the universe was not kind to dreamers. Far beyond the colony, a vast alien fleet moved like a swarm of locusts. The aliens called themselves the Dominion. Their ships, black and jagged, cut through space like knives. They had conquered hundreds of worlds, crushing any who dared resist. Their message was simple: submit or die. No species had stopped them. Now their eyes turned to humanity. On the colony world, alarms screamed. The sky darkened as Dominion ships filled the horizon. A cold, mechanical voice echoed through every radio, every screen. This is the Dominion. Surrender your world. Resistance is futile. You have 1 hour. The message repeated, chilling the hearts of the colonists. In the colony's command center, the governor stared at the screens. His hand shook. The room was crowded with officers, engineers, and scared workers. We can't fight them, the governor said, his voice low. They've destroyed entire systems. We have no fleet, no weapons to match theirs. A young officer called Lieutenant stood up. Her eyes burned with defiance. We can't just give up, she said. This is our home. If we surrender, they'll enslave us. We've heard the stories. The governor shook his head. Stories won't save us. We have no choice, Lieutenant clenched her fists. Then we make a choice. We fight. The room went silent. An old engineer called Tech spoke up. Fight with what? Our mining drones? Our cargo ships? We're not soldiers. Lieutenant turned to the screens, watching the Dominion ships grow closer. We're human, she said. That's enough. Far across the stars, in humanity's core worlds, the news spread. The Dominion had attacked a colony. Hope seemed lost. The human government, called the Council, met in secret. The Admiral, a grizzled veteran, stood before the leaders. His face was hard, his voice steady. The Dominion thinks we're weak, the Admiral said. They think we'll kneel. They're wrong. A council member frowned. Our fleet is small. We've focused on trade, not war. How can we stop them? The Admiral's eyes gleamed. We don't need the biggest fleet. We need the smartest one. Humanity has survived worse. We'll find a way, the council argued, but the Admiral's words sparked something. Plans began to form. Ships were called back from trade routes. Factories started building weapons. Humanity's Starfleet, small but clever, began to prepare. Back on the colony, the hour was almost up. The Dominion's voice returned, colder than before. Your time is over. Surrender now or be erased. The governor looked at Lieutenant. What do we do? Lieutenant didn't hesitate. She grabbed the radio and spoke, her voice clear and strong. This is the human colony. We will not surrender. Come closer and you'll see what we're made of. The Dominion didn't answer. Instead, their ships moved closer, their weapons glowing with deadly light. The colonists braced for the end. But Lieutenant had a plan. She turned to Tech. Can you hack their signal? Tech blinked. Their signal? It's advanced, but maybe. What are you thinking? Send a message, Lieutenant said. Not to them. To every human world. Show them what's happening. Wake them up. Tech worked fast, his fingers flying over the controls. The colony's weak comm system hummed to life. They hijacked the Dominion's own signal, broadcasting images of the alien fleet to every human world. The message was simple. The Dominion is here. Fight or fall. Across human space, people saw the broadcast. On mining stations and city towers on frontier worlds, they watched the dark ships loom over the colony. Fear gripped them, but something else stirred. Anger, pride, defiance. Humanity had been pushed before. They had always pushed back. On a distant shipyard, a grizzled captain watched the broadcast. His ship, an old warship called Dawn's Hammer, was being repaired. He turned to his crew. Get her ready, he said. We're going to that colony. But sir, a crewman said, we're not ready. The ship's engines are, then fix them. The captain roared. Those people need us. Humanity needs us. The crew worked through the night. Across human worlds, others did the same. Pilots climbed into fighters. Engineers armed cargo ships with makeshift weapons. Ordinary people picked up tools ready to fight. The Dominion had awakened something they didn't expect. Humanity's spirit. Back on the colony, the Dominion fleet closed in. Their weapons fired, shaking the ground. Buildings crumbled. The colonists hid in bunkers, but Lieutenant and Tech stayed at the command center. "Keep the broadcast going," Lieutenant said. "Every second we hold them, we give our people time." Tech nodded, sweat on his brow. "The signal's strong. They're seeing it everywhere." The Dominion's voice broke through again, angrier now. "Halt your advance or perish in flames." Lieutenant laughed, a fierce sound. "Advance? We're just getting started." The first Dominion ships landed, their troops spilling out. The colonists fought back with whatever they had: mining lasers, makeshift bombs, even tools. It wasn't enough, but it slowed the enemy. Every minute they held, the broadcast spread farther. In the void, humanity's Starfleet was coming together. The Admiral stood on the bridge of his flagship, Iron Resolve. The fleet was small, older warships, refitted freighters, and volunteer fighters. But it was growing. Every hour, more ships joined, answering the colony's call. "They think they've won," the Admiral said, watching the stars. "They think we're broken." "Let's show them what happens when you back a human into a corner." The fleet moved, a spark of light in the dark. Hope had faded, but it wasn't gone. Humanity's Starfleet was coming, and the cosmos would tremble. The colony burned under the Dominion, energized, and Lieutenant's broadcast still echoed across human worlds. "Halt your advance, or perish in flames." The Dominion's threat had become humanity's rallying cry. Lieutenant and Tech held the command center as Dominion troops advanced. The ground shook with explosions. Outside, the colonists fought with whatever they had: tools, scavenged weapons, sheer will. Every second they held, the broadcast reached more human worlds. The images of the Dominion's black ships sparked fear, but also fire. People everywhere were waking up. In the core worlds, the Admiral watched the same broadcast on the bridge of Iron Resolve. His fleet was growing, but it was still a patchwork: old warships, armed freighters, and volunteer fighters. The Council had given him command, but doubts lingered. "We're not enough," a young officer said, staring at the screens showing the Dominion's massive fleet. The Admiral's jaw tightened. "We don't need to be enough," he said. "We need to be human." That's what they don't understand. On a distant shipyard, the captain pushed his crew harder. Dawn's hammer was almost ready. Sparks flew as workers welded new armor onto the old warship. "Faster!" the captain barked. "Those colonists are counting on us." His crew didn't sleep. They knew what was at stake. Across human space, others answered the call. Miners turned drills into weapons. Farmers rigged cargo ships with cannons. Even children helped, carrying tools to the shipyards. Back on the colony, the situation grew desperate. Dominion troops, tall and armored, moved like machines. Their weapons burned through walls, and their ships rained fire from above. Lieutenant crouched behind a console in the command center, her face smeared with ash. Tech worked frantically, keeping the broadcast alive. "They're trying to jam us," he said, his voice tight. "I'm rerouting the signal, but it's tough." "Keep it going," Lieutenant said. "It's our only hope." The Dominion's voice broke through again, cold and final. "Halt your advance or perish in flames." It was the same threat, looping like a taunt. Lieutenant gritted her teeth. "They think they've won," she said. "Let's prove them wrong." She grabbed a rifle from a fallen colonist and joined the fight outside. The streets were chaos, smoke, screams, and the roar of Dominion war machines. She fired at an alien soldier, dropping it. "Hold the line!" she shouted to the colonists. They were outnumbered, but they fought like cornered animals. A miner swung a pickaxe, taking down another enemy. A teacher threw a homemade bomb, scattering a squad. It wasn't enough to win, but it was enough to delay. In the void, the Admiral's fleet moved closer to the colony. Iron Resolve led the way, its engines roaring. The Admiral stood on the bridge, his eyes fixed on the stars. "Status," he said. 40 ships ready," an officer reported. "More are coming, but they're hours out." 40's a start," the Admiral said. He opened a channel to the fleet. "This is it, people. The Dominion thinks humanity's weak. They think we'll break. Today we show them what we're made of. Full speed to the colony." The fleet answered with cheers. Pilots gripped controls, engineers checked weapons, and volunteers, cooks, clerks, even students prepared for war. The broadcast had done its job. Humanity was rising. On a frontier world, a young pilot called Flyer climbed into a patched-up fighter. She'd flown cargo runs, not battles, but the broadcast burned in her mind. She saw the colony's burning streets, heard the Dominion's threat. "Perish in flames?" she muttered, flipping switches. "Not today." Her fighter launched, joining others streaking toward the fight. Back at the colony, Lieutenant ducked behind a wrecked vehicle. Dominion troops were closing in. A blast shook the ground and she coughed through the dust. Tech's voice crackled over her radio. "Signal's still up. They're seeing it everywhere." "Good," Lieutenant said. "Now get to the bunker." "That's an order." "I'm not leaving you," Tech said. "You will," she snapped. "Someone's got to tell our story." Tech hesitated, then ran, clutching a data drive with the broadcast's records. Lieutenant turned back to the fight, firing at a Dominion drone. It exploded in a shower of sparks. She smiled grimly. "That's for you," she whispered. Far away, the captain's Dawn's hammer joined the Admiral's fleet. Its engines glowed hot, pushing past their limits. The captain stood on the bridge, his crew silent but ready. "We're late," he said, "but we're coming." The fleet was a mix of misfits, sleek fighters, bulky freighters, even a refitted cruise ship bristling with guns. It wasn't pretty, but it was human. The Admiral's voice came over the comms. "We're 2 hours out." "Hold on, colony. We're bringing the fight." On the colony, the command center was crumbling. Lieutenant fought her way back inside, her rifle empty. She grabbed a metal pipe, ready to swing. The Dominion was relentless, but so was she. A shadow loomed, a massive Dominion war machine, its cannons glowing. She braced herself, thinking of the broadcast. "They're coming," she told herself. "Just hold on." Then a roar split the sky. Not Dominion ships, human ones. The first wave of the Starfleet arrived, smaller ships darting through the void. Flyer's fighter led the charge, firing missiles at a Dominion cruiser. It erupted in flames, lighting up the dark. The colonists cheered, their voices hoarse but alive. Lieutenant fell to her knees, laughing through the smoke. "They're here," she whispered. The Admiral's voice boomed over the fleet's comms. "This is humanity's Starfleet. Dominion, you wanted a fight? You've got one." The battle was just beginning. The Dominion had underestimated humanity, and now the cosmos would pay the price. The sky above the colony roared with fire and steel. Humanity's Starfleet, a ragtag fleet of warships, freighters, and fighters, clashed with the Dominion's black ships. The void lit up with explosions, each one a spark of human defiance. The colonists, battered but unbroken, watched from below as their saviors fought. Lieutenant, bruised and bleeding, stood on the rubble of the command center, her eyes fixed on the battle above. The Dominion ships were massive, their armor like a wall of night. Their weapons tore through space, turning human fighters to ash. But the humans didn't fight like the Dominion expected. They were fast, clever, unpredictable. Flyer, the young pilot, weaved her fighter through a storm of enemy fire. "Stay sharp," she yelled over the comms. Her squad followed, darting between Dominion cruisers, hitting weak spots with missiles. On the Iron Resolve, the Admiral gripped the bridge railing. His fleet was outnumbered, outgunned. The screen showed red dots, Dominion ships, swarming the smaller green dots of human vessels. "Status," he said, his voice calm but hard. "We've lost 6 fighters," an officer reported. "Their shields are too strong. Our weapons barely dent them." "Then we don't aim for their shields," the Admiral said. "Find their engines, their sensors, anything that makes them slow." An engineer called Sparks spoke up. "Sir, I've got an idea. Our freighters have mining lasers. They're not weapons, but they're hot enough to cut metal. If we get close, do it," the Admiral said. "Tell the freighters to aim for their thrusters. Cripple them," the order spread. Freighters, bulky and slow, moved into the fight. Their mining lasers meant for asteroids burned bright. A Dominion cruiser, caught off guard, lost an engine in a burst of flame. It drifted helpless as human fighters swarmed it. The crew cheered, but the Admiral's face stayed grim. "One down," he said. "Hundreds to go." On the colony, Lieutenant rallied the survivors. The Dominion's ground troops still pushed forward, their war machines stomping through the streets. She grabbed a radio, her voice hoarse. "Anyone still fighting, fall back to the mines. We'll hold them there." The colonists moved, dragging wounded and carrying makeshift weapons. Tech, safe in a bunker, kept the broadcast running. The Dominion's threat, "Halt your advance or perish in flames," looped on their own channels, mocked by human defiance. Tech added his own message. "This is humanity. We're still here. Keep fighting." In the mines, Lieutenant set traps. Miners rigged explosives from drilling charges. Workers blocked tunnels with debris. When Dominion troops entered, the ground shook with blasts. Alien soldiers fell, but more came. Lieutenant swung her metal pipe, smashing a drone's sensors. "Keep them busy," she shouted. Every minute they held gave the Starfleet time. In space, the captain's Dawn's hammer joined the fight. Its guns roared, tearing into a Dominion frigate. The captain stood on the bridge, his eyes scanning the chaos. "Target their comms array," he said. "Cut their orders." His crew fired, and the frigate's signals went dark. Without orders, the Dominion ship faltered. Easy prey for human fighters. The captain grinned. "That's how we do it." Hit and run. Flyer's fighter squad used the chaos. She led her team in a daring move, skimming the hull of a Dominion dreadnought. "Drop the charges," she called. Her squad released makeshift bombs, cargo containers packed with explosives. They stuck to the dreadnought's hull and detonated, ripping holes in its armor. Flyer whooped as her fighter pulled away. "Take that, you monsters!" But the Dominion wasn't finished. Their flagship, a massive beast of a ship, moved forward. Its weapons fired, a wave of energy that vaporized a human freighter. The admiral watched, his heart heavy. "They're targeting our heavy ships," an officer said. "We can't take that kind of fire." "Then we don't," the admiral said. He opened a channel to all ships. "Listen up. We're not winning a straight fight. Use your heads. Trick them. Outsmart them. This is humanity's war." The fleet adapted. Freighters played dead, luring Dominion ships close before firing. Fighters used asteroids as cover, striking and hiding. A refitted cruise ship bristling with guns rammed a Dominion cruiser, its crew evacuating just in time. The explosion lit the void, a beacon of human resolve. On the colony, the mines were a maze of death. Lieutenant led hit-and-run attacks, drawing Dominion troops deeper. A miner called Rock set off a trap, collapsing a tunnel on an enemy squad. "That's for my home," he growled. But the Dominion kept coming, their numbers endless. Lieutenant's radio crackled, Tech's voice. "The fleet's holding, but they need time. More ships are coming." "Then we give them time," Lieutenant said. She looked at the colonists, their faces tired but fierce. "We're human. We don't break." In space, the admiral saw new green dots on the screens. More ships, volunteers from distant worlds, joined the fight. A farmer's cargo ship armed with makeshift rockets. A mining rig, its drills turned to weapons. Even a luxury yacht firing stolen Dominion tech. The broadcast had done its work. Humanity was awake. The Dominion flagship fired again, its beam cutting through two fighters. Flyer's voice came over the comms, shaky but strong. "We can't let that thing keep shooting." "I'm going in." "No," the admiral said. "You're too exposed." "Someone's got to do it," Flyer said. She pushed her fighter toward the flagship, dodging fire. Her squad followed, loyal to the end. They aimed for its weapons, dropping every bomb they had. Explosions rippled across the flagship's hull, but it kept firing. On the Iron Resolve, Sparks had another idea. "Sir, their flagship's shields flicker when it fires." "If we hit it, then do it," the admiral said. He sent the order. Every ship, every gun fire when the flagship's shields dropped. The fleet waited, watching the monster ship charge its beam. The moment it fired, human weapons roared. Missiles, lasers, even a freighter's mining beam slammed into the flagship. Its shields collapsed and a cheer echoed across the fleet. The battle wasn't over, but the tide was turning. Humanity's Starfleet, small and stubborn, was fighting back. The cosmos shook with their defiance. The void burned with the fury of war. Humanity's Starfleet, a patchwork of old warships, armed freighters, and volunteer fighters, hammered the Dominion fleet. The colony below was a battlefield, its streets and mines choked with smoke and ruin. The Dominion's flagship, a monster of black metal, loomed above, its weapons carving through human ships. But humanity fought on, driven by the broadcast that still echoed. "Halt your advance, or perish in flames." The aliens' threat had become humanity's defiance. On the Iron Resolve, the admiral watched the screens. The Dominion flagship's shields were down, but it was still deadly. Its beams sliced through a human freighter, turning it to sparks. "We need to hit it now," the admiral said. "All ships focus fire on that flagship. Give it everything." Sparks, the engineer, worked at a console. "Sir, their reactor's exposed." "One good hit could take it out, but we need to get close." The admiral nodded. "Then we get close." "Tell the fleet, volunteers only." "This is a suicide run," the call went out. Flyer, the young pilot, herded in her battered fighter. Her squad was down to 3 ships, their hulls scarred. "You heard the admiral," she said over the comms. "Who's with me?" "I am," a pilot answered, his voice steady. Another chimed in. "Let's make them pay." Flyer grinned, her heart racing. She pushed her fighter toward the flagship, dodging beams and debris. Her squad followed, a tiny spear aimed at the heart of the enemy. On the colony, Lieutenant led the survivors deeper into the mines. Dominion troops pressed forward, their war machines tearing through tunnels. The colonists fought with traps and ambushes, but they were running out of time. Lieutenant's radio crackled, Tech's voice from the bunker. The broadcast still up. More ships are coming. Hold on. We're holding, Lieutenant said, wiping blood from her face. She turned to the miners. Rock, get those charges ready. We'll collapse the main tunnel if we have to. Rock, the burly miner, nodded. Got it. They'll regret coming down here. He rigged explosives, his hands steady despite the chaos. The colonists, exhausted but fierce, prepared for their last stand. A young worker called Scout clutched a makeshift spear. For our home, she whispered. Above, the captain's Dawn's hammer led the charge on the Dominion flagship. Its guns roared, blasting holes in the enemy's hull. The captain stood on the bridge, his voice calm but firm. Keep firing. Don't let up. His crew worked fast, reloading cannons and patching leaks. A Dominion beam grazed the ship, shaking the deck. Hold together, the captain shouted. We're not done yet. Flyer's fighter squad weaved through the chaos. The flagship's defenses fired, filling the void with deadly light. One of her squad mates vanished in a flash, but Flyer didn't flinch. Stay on target, she said. Her fighter carried a heavy bomb scavenged from a mining rig. If she could drop it on the flagship's reactor, it might end the fight. The admiral watched from iron resolve. They're too exposed, he muttered. He opened a channel. All ships cover those fighters. Draw the flagship's fire. Freighters and warships moved, firing wildly to distract the Dominion. A refitted cargo ship took a direct hit, exploding in silence. The admiral clenched his fists. Keep going, he said, his voice like iron. Flyer saw her chance. The flagship's weapons turned to the larger ships, leaving a gap. Now, she shouted. Her squad dove, skimming the flagship's hull. Dominion drones chased them, but Flyer was too fast. She aimed for the glowing reactor, visible through a breach in the armor. This is for the colony, she said, releasing the bomb. The bomb struck and the flagship shuddered. A fireball erupted, tearing through its core. Flyer pulled her fighter away, the shockwave rattling her controls. Her squad cheered as the flagship's lights flickered and died. The massive ship began to drift, broken. The fleet roared with triumph, but the fight wasn't over. Dominion ships rallied, their smaller cruisers still deadly. The admiral seized the moment. Press the attack! They're shaken, hit them hard! On the colony, the ground battle raged. Lieutenant's traps slowed the Dominion, but their war machines broke through. Rock detonated a charge, collapsing a tunnel on an enemy squad. Dust choked the air, but more aliens came. Lieutenant swung her pipe, cracking a drone's shell. Keep fighting, she yelled. The fleet's winning up there. Scout, the young worker, threw a homemade bomb, scattering Dominion troops. They're not invincible, she said, her voice fierce. Lieutenant smiled despite the pain. That's right. They bleed just like us, Tech's voice came again. The flagship's down. The fleet's pushing back. The colonists cheered, their spirits lifting. Lieutenant grabbed the radio. Tell the fleet we're still here. Tell them to hurry. In space, the captain's Dawn's hammer took heavy fire. A Dominion cruiser targeted it, its beams cutting deep. Engines failing, a crewman shouted. The captain didn't blink. Ram that cruiser, he said. Full speed. The crew hesitated, then obeyed. Dawn's hammer surged forward, its hull groaning. It slammed into the cruiser, metal tearing metal. Both ships erupted in flames, lighting the void. The captain's last words echoed over the comms. For humanity. The sacrifice turned the tide. Dominion ships faltered, their formation breaking. Flyer's squad regrouped, hitting stragglers. The admiral's iron resolve led a final push, its guns blazing. More human ships arrived, volunteers from every corner of human space. The broadcast had called them, and they answered. On the colony, Lieutenant felt the ground shake less. She climbed a ridge looking to the sky. Dominion ships were retreating, their black forms fading into the void. The colonists emerged from the mines, their faces dirty but alive. Scout raised her spear. We did it, she said. Lieutenant shook her head. Not yet, but we're close. The admiral's voice crackled over the radio. This is Starfleet. The Dominion's running. Colony, you held the line. We're coming for you, the void was still. Humanity's Starfleet had struck a blow, but the war wasn't over. The Dominion would return and humanity would be ready. The colony was a scarred ruin, its streets littered with rubble and twisted metal. The Dominion's retreat left the sky quiet, but the air still smelled of smoke. Lieutenant stood among the survivors, her body aching but her spirit unbroken. The colonists, battered and weary, gathered around her. They had held the line. Above, humanity's Starfleet patrolled the void, a patchwork of ships that had defied the odds. The Dominion's threat, halt your advance or perish in flames, had been thrown back in their faces. But no one believed the war was over. In the bunker, Tech kept the broadcast alive. His hands shook as he worked, sending images of the colony's defiance to every human world. They're still watching, he told Lieutenant over the radio. More ships are coming. We're not alone. Lieutenant nodded, her eyes scanning the horizon. Good, we'll need them. She turned to the colonists. Start rebuilding, dig in. They'll be back. Rock, the miner, hefted a shovel. Let them come. We'll bury them. Scout, the young worker, clutched her makeshift spear, her face fierce. The colonists moved, clearing debris and fortifying the mines. They were no soldiers, but they were human, stubborn, unbreakable. Far above, on the iron resolve, the admiral surveyed the fleet. The destruction of the Dominion flagship had been a victory, but it came at a cost. Dozens of ships were gone, including Dawn's hammer. The captain's sacrifice burned in the admiral's mind. Status, he said, his voice steady despite the weight. An officer answered, We've got 60 ships left. More are arriving, volunteers mostly. Freighters, mining rigs, even a few old warships. But the Dominion's still out there. Long-range scans show their fleet regrouping. The admiral's eyes narrowed. They're not done with us. Neither are we with them. He turned to Sparks, the engineer. Can we improve our weapons? Their armor's tough. Sparks rubbed his chin. We've got salvaged Dominion tech from their wrecked ships. I can rig something. Maybe overload their own weapons against them. It'll take time. Get it done, the admiral said. He opened a channel to the fleet. This is Starfleet. We bloodied their nose, but they'll hit back harder. Train, repair, prepare. We fight for every human world. The fleet responded with grit. Flyer, back on a repair station, worked on her damaged fighter. Her squad was down to 2, but she didn't waver. We hit their flagship, she told her crew. We can hit the rest. They patched her ship with scavenged parts, their hands moving fast. Across the fleet, others did the same, welding, rewiring, turning junk into weapons. Humanity's strength wasn't in numbers. It was in will. On a distant human world, the broadcast sparked a fire. Factories churned out fighters. Civilians trained with rifles. A teacher called Guide organized volunteers, her voice fierce. The colony fought. We fight too. Her group boarded a refitted cargo ship, joining the growing Starfleet. The Dominion had awakened something unstoppable. But the Dominion wasn't idle. Deep in the void, their remaining ships gathered around a new flagship, larger and darker than the last. Its commander, a cold intelligence, studied the humans. They are weak, it said to its officers. Yet they resist. We will crush their spirit. The Dominion planned a new attack, not on the colony, but on a core human world, a planet vital to their trade and hope. If it fell, humanity would break. On the colony, Lieutenant led a team to salvage Dominion wreckage. They found shattered drones and strange weapons. Tech, can you use this? She asked, holding a glowing alien device. Tech's eyes lit up. It's a power cell. Dangerous, but I can turn it into a bomb. Maybe a big one. He worked with the miners, rigging traps in case the Dominion returned. Lieutenant felt a spark of hope. If they come back, they'll regret it. Days passed. The colony rebuilt, the fleet grew, and the broadcast never stopped. Tech added new messages. This is humanity. We stood, we stand. Join us. The words reached every corner of human space, pulling more into the fight. A merchant ship armed with stolen guns arrived. A mining station sent drones. Even a hospital ship joined, ready to save lives. But then a new signal broke through. The Dominion's voice, colder than ever, filled every radio. Humans, your defiance is futile. Your core world will burn. Halt your advance or perish in flames. The admiral froze on the iron resolve. They're targeting a core world, he said. Which one? Scans confirmed it. A planet called Haven, the heart of human trade. Millions lived there. If it fell, the war could be lost. The admiral made a choice. All ships set course for Haven. We stopped them there. Flyer overheard the order in her fighter. Heaven's my home, she whispered. She gripped her controls, her jaw tight. Let's move. On the colony, Lieutenant heard the news. They're going for Haven, Tech said, his face pale. If it falls. It won't, Lieutenant said. She rallied the colonists. We held here. They'll hold there. We're not done fighting. She grabbed the radio. Starfleet, this is the colony. We're with you. Send us coordinates. We'll send what we can. The Admiral's voice replied, You've done enough. Hold your ground. No, Lieutenant said. We're human. We don't stop. She turned to the colonists. Anyone who can fight, grab a ship. We're going to Haven. Rock and Scout stepped forward, joined by others. They boarded a patched-up freighter, its hull marked with scars. It wasn't much, but it was theirs. The ship lifted off, joining the Starfleet's growing armada. In the void, the fleet moved toward Haven. The Admiral stood tall, his eyes on the stars. They think they can break us, he said. Let's show them what humanity does when you threaten our home. The cosmos waited. The next battle would decide everything. The void around Haven glowed with the light of war. Humanity's Starfleet, a growing armada of warships, freighters, and volunteer fighters, faced the Dominion's new fleet. The alien ships, black and sleek, swarmed like predators, led by a massive new flagship that dwarfed the last. Its commander's voice echoed across every channel. Halt your advance, or perish in flames. The threat was a taunt, but humanity answered with fire. On the Iron Resolve, the Admiral stood on the bridge, his eyes locked on the enemy. Haven's orbit was a battlefield, its skies streaked with missiles and beams. The planet below, a green and blue jewel, was home to millions. If it fell, humanity's spirit might break. All ships, protect Haven, the Admiral ordered. No matter the cost, Flyer and her patched-up fighter led her squad through the chaos. Her homeworld spun below, its cities glowing in the dark. Stay tight, she told her pilots. Hit their weak spots, engines, weapons, anything. Her fighter darted between Dominion ships, firing missiles at a cruiser's thrusters. It exploded, but more took its place. Flyer gritted her teeth. For Haven, she whispered. On the colony, far across the stars, Lieutenant prepared to join the fight. Her freighter, packed with colonists like Rock and Scout, lifted off. We're not soldiers, Rock said, gripping a rifle. But we're human. That's enough, Lieutenant said. She piloted the freighter, its engines straining as it joined the Starfleet heading to Haven. Tech's broadcast still played, now a beacon of defiance. This is humanity. We fight, we stand. Join us. At Haven, the Dominion pressed hard. Their flagship's beams cut through human ships, leaving wrecks in the void. Sparks, the engineer on Iron Resolve, worked fast, rigging salvaged Dominion tech. I've got a pulse bomb, he said to the Admiral. It could disrupt their shields, but we need to get it close. The Admiral nodded. Flyer's squad can deliver it. Tell her. Flyer got the order. A bomb run on the flagship again? She laughed, a fierce sound. Let's do it. Her squad formed up, dodging enemy fire. The pulse bomb, a glowing orb of stolen tech, hummed in her fighter's bay. The flagship loomed ahead, its weapons blazing. Flyer's heart pounded. This is for home. On Haven's surface, alarm screamed. Dominion dropships landed, spilling troops into the cities. Civilians fought back, teachers, workers, even children. Guide, the teacher from a frontier world, led a group of volunteers. They used stolen Dominion weapons, firing from rooftops. Hold the streets! Guide shouted. A Dominion drone fell, but more came. Haven's people were outnumbered, but they didn't run. In space, the Starfleet fought with everything it had. Freighters used mining lasers to burn Dominion hulls. A hospital ship, armed with makeshift guns, shielded a damaged warship. The Admiral's voice rallied them. This is our home. We don't break. Keep fighting. Flyer's squad closed in on the flagship. Dominion drones chased them, their beams grazing her fighter. One pilot vanished in a fireball. Stay on me, Flyer yelled. She dove low, skimming the flagship's hull. Its shields flickered, weakened by Spark's earlier strikes. She released the pulse bomb, and it struck the flagship's core. A wave of energy erupted, shutting down its shields and weapons. The fleet seized the chance. Every ship fired missiles, lasers, even ramming attacks. The flagship shuddered, its hull cracking. The Admiral watched, his voice steady. Finish it, but the Dominion wasn't done. Their commander, safe in the flagship's core, sent a new signal. You win nothing. Your world burns. Dominion ships shifted, targeting Haven cities with orbital strikes. Beams rained down, setting buildings ablaze. On the surface, Guide saw the fire coming. "Get to the shelters," she yelled. Her volunteers guided civilians underground, but she stayed, firing at Dominion troops. A beam struck nearby, throwing her to the ground. She rose, bloodied but defiant. "You don't own us," she spat, firing again. Lieutenant's freighter arrived in Haven's orbit, joining the fight. "We're here," she said over the comms. "Where do you need us?" The Admiral answered, "Reinforce Flyer's squad. Protect the planet." Lieutenant's freighter dove into the battle, its makeshift guns blazing. Rock manned a turret, firing at Dominion drones. Scout, clutching her spear, helped load ammo. "We're not losing Haven," she said. Flyer's fighter was damaged, its controls sparking. She led her squad in another run, targeting the flagship's exposed core. "One more hit," she said. Her remaining pilot nodded, silent but ready. They fired everything. Missiles, guns, even debris launched as shrapnel. The flagship erupted, its core splitting in a blinding explosion. The Dominion fleet faltered, their commander gone. But the battle raged on. Smaller Dominion ships kept fighting, their beams pounding Haven. The Admiral saw the damage reports, cities burning, ships falling. "We're not done," he said. "Push them back." Lieutenant's freighter took a hit, its hull breached. "Hold together," she shouted, steering toward a Dominion cruiser. Rock fired the turret, blasting its engines. The cruiser drifted, helpless. Scout cheered, but Lieutenant stayed focused. More are coming. On Haven, Guide led a last stand in a burning city. Dominion troops surrounded her group. She fired until her weapon clicked empty, then grabbed a metal rod. "For humanity," she yelled, charging. Her volunteers fought beside her, their courage a spark in the dark. In space, Flyer's fighter was failing. "One last run," she told her squadmate. They aimed for a Dominion cruiser, firing their final missiles. The cruiser exploded, but Flyer's ship took a fatal hit. "Tell them we fought," she said, her voice fading as her fighter broke apart. The Admiral saw her signal go dark. His fists clenched, but he spoke to the fleet. "She gave us a chance. Use it." The Starfleet rallied, their ships closing ranks. The Dominion, leaderless and shaken, began to retreat. Haven burned, but it stood. Humanity's defiance had held the line, but the cost was heavy. Haven burned, but it stood. The Dominion's fleet, leaderless after their flagship's destruction, scattered across the void. Humanity's Starfleet, battered but unbroken, chased them relentlessly. The broadcast, and "This is humanity. We fight, we stand." Buenos Aires still echoed, a call that had united worlds. The Dominion's threat, "Halt your advance or perish in flames," and was now a hollow memory, drowned by human defiance. On the Iron Resolve, the Admiral watched the screens. The Dominion's remaining ships fled, their black hulls vanishing into the dark. Haven's orbit was littered with wreckage, human and alien alike. The cost was heavy. Flyers sacrificed, the captains ramming, countless others lost. But humanity had held. "Status," the Admiral said, his voice steady. An officer replied, "Dominion ships are retreating. We've got 80 vessels still operational. Haven's cities are damaged, but the people are safe." The Admiral nodded. "Send relief ships to Haven. Then we finish this." He opened a channel to the fleet. "Starfleet, this is our moment. We don't just push them back, we end them. For Haven, for the colony, for humanity." The fleet answered with a roar. Freighters, fighters, and patched-up warships moved as one, hunting the Dominion's stragglers. Sparks, the engineer, had rigged more pulse bombs from salvaged alien tech. "These'll fry their systems," he said, grinning. "They won't run far." On Haven's surface, Guide led the survivors out of the shelters. The city smoked, but the Dominion troops were gone, driven off by volunteers like her. She bandaged a wounded worker, her hands steady. "We held," she said. "We're still here." A child clutching a broken toy looked up. "Will they come back?" Guide smiled, fierce and proud. "If they do, we'll be ready." Across the stars, Lieutenant's freighter joined the final chase. The colony's survivors, Rock Scout and others, fought alongside the Starfleet. Their ship, scarred and leaking, fired makeshift rockets at a Dominion cruiser. Rock manned the turret, his aim true. "That's for our home," he growled as the cruiser exploded. Scout, still gripping her spear, cheered. Lieutenant piloted with grim focus. "One more," she said. "Then we're done." The Dominion's last stand came in a distant nebula, a swirling cloud of gas and light. Their remaining ships gathered, desperate to regroup. The Starfleet followed, relentless. The Admiral led the charge, Iron Resolve at the front. They think they can hide, he said. Show them nowhere safe. Spark's pulse bomb struck first, disabling Dominion shields. Fighters swarmed, targeting engines and weapons. A freighter, once a cargo hauler, rammed a Dominion frigate, its crew evacuating in pods. The explosion lit the nebula, a beacon of human will. Lieutenant's freighter joined the fray, its guns blazing. For Flyer, she whispered, firing at a fleeing ship. The Dominion fought hard, but they were broken. Without their commanders, their cold precision faltered. Human ships, driven by passion and ingenuity, overwhelmed them. A mining rig used its drills to tear through a cruiser's hull. A volunteer yacht, bristling with stolen guns, outmaneuvered a Dominion destroyer. The nebula burned with humanity's fire. On Haven, Tech's broadcast evolved. He sent new messages. This is humanity. The Dominion falls. Stand with us. The words reached every human world, inspiring more to join. Factories built new ships. Schools taught tactics. Humanity wasn't just surviving, it was rising. In the nebula, the last Dominion ship, a massive warship, made a final stand. Its weapons fired wildly, hitting a human freighter. The Admiral's voice cut through the comms. All ships focus on that warship. End this now. Lieutenant's freighter led a daring run. Rock fired the turret, Scout loaded ammo, and Lieutenant steered through a storm of enemy fire. Hold on, she shouted. Their rockets struck the warship's core, and Spark's pulse bomb followed. The warship erupted, its debris scattering like dust. The nebula fell silent. The Dominion was gone. Cheers filled the fleet, echoing across every ship. The Admiral exhaled, his shoulders heavy but proud. We did it, he said. Humanity won. On Haven, Guide heard the news. She gathered the survivors in a ruined square. The war's over, she said. We're free. The crowd roared, their voices a mix of joy and grief. They had lost so much, but they had gained more, a future. Lieutenant's freighter landed on Haven, its hull barely holding. She stepped out, Rock and Scout behind her. The colonists embraced them, heroes of a distant world. You saved us, a woman said, tears in her eyes. We saved each other, Lieutenant replied. She looked to the sky where the Starfleet's lights shone. This is what we do. The Admiral addressed the fleet one last time. Humanity, you stood when hope faded. You fought when the cosmos turned against us. You shattered their empire. This is our victory. Rebuild, grow, and never forget. We are human. The broadcast changed again, Tech's final message. This is humanity. We rose, we won. The cosmos is ours. It spread to every world, a promise of a new era. Factories turned to building homes. Ships explored new stars. The colony, once a ruin, began to heal, its people planting crops under a scarred sky. Lieutenant returned to the colony, helping rebuild. Rock and Scout worked beside her, their spirits unbroken. Guide stayed on Haven, teaching children about the war, not just the battles, but the courage. Sparks joined a new project, designing ships to explore, not fight. The Admiral retired, his name a legend, but he watched the stars, ready if needed. The Dominion's threat was a memory, a lesson etched in human hearts. They had faced the void, defied the flames, and won. The cosmos, once dark, now glowed with humanity's light. They weren't just survivors, they were conquerors, dreamers, builders of a future no enemy could break.